I could never have guessed that a few simple words would tear through the fabric of what we had built together. That night had started out like any other. The day had left me drained, but I was eager to come home, to see her, to hold her, to feel that sense of comfort we always shared after long hours apart. When I walked in, she was sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the television, her face unreadable, her eyes distant as though she wasn't really there. I spoke gently, calling her name, asking about her day, hoping to break through whatever cloud she seemed lost in. At first she didn't answer, then she let out a long sigh. Her lips pulled downward as she muttered words that would leave me stunned. "I don't feel like being a wife tonight." For a moment I couldn't move. The sentence echoed inside me like a cruel joke I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" I asked, desperate for clarity. But her face didn't soften. Her voice was detached, heavy with disinterest. "I just don't want to pretend everything's fine. I'm tired." Something inside me cracked at those words. I reached out, instinctively wanting to comfort her, but she recoiled sharply. "Don't touch me," she snapped, as though my presence itself had become a burden. The rejection pierced deeper than anything I'd felt from her before, leaving me standing there in silence, watching the distance between us widen into something vast and hollow. I couldn't bear it. Without another word, I turned and walked out the door, the weight of her rejection pressing on my chest like an unbearable load. I wandered aimlessly through the streets, not caring where I ended up. My feet eventually carried me into a bar, where I sat alone nursing a drink I didn't even want. The burn of alcohol did nothing to dull the ache inside me. The following days passed in a blur. I stayed at a friend's place, ignoring her messages, avoiding her calls. Anger mixed with confusion. And underneath it all was fear. Fear that what we had was already gone. Weeks slipped by before I saw her again. One evening, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, she stood there, looking worn and unsure. Her voice was soft, almost trembling, when she asked, "Can we talk?" I hesitated, torn between the anger I had carried and the sudden glimpse of vulnerability in her eyes. Without a word, I stepped aside and let her in. She sat down, avoiding me at first, then finally whispered, "I'm sorry." Her voice was fragile, but the regret in it cut deeper than any excuse could. "I shouldn't have shut you out. I don't know what's been wrong with me. I've been lost, and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair." I stayed quiet, my arms folded across my chest, unsure how to respond. She reached out, her hand trembling as it rested on mine. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. "I want to fix this." For the first time in weeks, I looked at her without bitterness. What I felt wasn't anger anymore, but exhaustion, tired of the silence, tired of the walls between us. "If we're going to fix this, it won't be easy," I told her quietly. "We've both made mistakes." She nodded, tears filling her eyes, promising she was ready to try, ready to put in the work. In that fragile moment, something shifted. No, it wasn't a miracle cure. The wounds were still there, and the road ahead would be difficult. But the willingness to rebuild had returned, and that was enough to take the first step. Sometimes it takes walking away to understand how much something matters. Sometimes it takes distance to recognize what's worth holding on to. It wouldn't be perfect, it wouldn't be simple, but it could still be ours. And that, I realized, was worth fighting for.